He built a kingdom of wives and watched it crumble, one silent move, one broken truth at a time. Once the proud father of 18 and husband of 4, Kody Brown now faces the unthinkable. A daughter calling him a liar. A wife packing his dreams into boxes. And a silence so heavy, it's louder than any argument on TV. The move was supposed to be simple. The truth, controllable. But both would expose the man behind the myth. Because when Maddie broke her silence, she didn't just expose a lie, she unraveled an empire. Part 1. To understand why Maddie's words shook fans so deeply, we must go back, before the split, before the Instagram Live, back to the early Sister Wives years. Maddie Brown grew up in the spotlight, one of Kody and Janelle's 6 children. A tight-knit brood, raised under the ideals of plural love and unity. But behind the smiles and chore charts, the cracks were already forming. I just want everyone to be happy, but sometimes it doesn't feel like that's possible. As Kody's attention shifted, first toward Christine, then fully toward Robyn, the older children began to feel invisible. Maddie, once close to her father, found herself navigating a growing emotional distance. He always said we were equal, Maddie would later recall. But that wasn't true anymore. Because one conversation would prove how deep the deception really went. It started small, just a quote during a Sister Wives tell-all. Kody claimed one of his daughters had cut him off, that she didn't want a relationship. But fans didn't know he was talking about Maddie. And that's when Maddie decided enough was enough. "I didn't cut you off, Dad," she said, her voice trembling. "You stopped calling. You lied about me on TV." Within hours, the clip spread across social media. Sister Wives fans dissected every word, every tear, every pause. What looked like a daughter venting was actually a public confrontation, years in the making. Maddie wasn't just calling out her father, she was reclaiming her truth. But she didn't realize her words would unleash something even bigger. Within 24 hours, Maddie versus Kody was trending across Sister Wives communities. Fans took sides. Some praised Maddie's courage. Others accused her of betrayal. Finally, someone told Kody the truth. It's sad it had to come to this. But inside the Brown family, silence. Janelle stayed quiet. Christine offered a cryptic Instagram story about speaking your truth. And Kody? He said nothing. In the vacuum of silence, the internet created its own narrative, painting Kody as manipulative, and Maddie as the emotional hero. But then, weeks later, an old clip resurfaced. One that changed everything. The resurfaced footage wasn't new. It was from season 16. Kody, sitting on that familiar couch, looked into the camera and said, "I've tried, but some of my kids just don't respect me anymore." Fans noticed something subtle. Kody's hand gesture toward Janelle's side of the family. And suddenly, everything Maddie said seemed to fit a disturbing pattern. This wasn't just one lie. It was years of rewriting the family story for TV. Maddie's call-out wasn't rebellion. It was exposure. For years, she'd carried resentment privately. But when Kody went public, painting her as ungrateful, she answered with truth in front of millions. But Kody wasn't done. And what he said next stunned everyone. Days later, during a fan-recorded cameo, Kody hinted that certain kids were being manipulated. People online don't understand what's really happening. Family isn't simple. To many viewers, that sounded like deflection. To Maddie's supporters, it was gaslighting. Fan pages exploded. Hashtags like #TeamMaddie and #CodyLies dominated TikTok. And the once golden image of the Brown patriarch began to crumble. He's lost every woman in his life. Maddie just said what everyone's been feeling. Yet amid the chaos, Maddie stayed silent. Again. No follow-ups, no interviews, just one quiet post. The truth doesn't need defending. But behind that silence, there was one more message no one saw coming. Weeks later, Maddie appeared briefly on her podcast with McKelty. Her tone was calm, but firm. Sometimes love means distance. You can forgive, but you don't have to keep getting hurt. In that single line, Maddie revealed what so many daughters feel. The pain of loving a father who no longer shows up. Kody Brown built a family of faith, unity, and unconditional love. But one by one, those ideals fell apart, until even his daughter's truth became his greatest threat. In the end, the Sister Wives saga isn't about polygamy. It's about the cost of control, the hunger for love, and the courage it takes to tell your own story. If you believe every woman deserves to speak her truth, hit that like button. And tell us in the comments, do you think Maddie's confession was bravery or betrayal? Part 2. Once, Kody Brown's dream was simple. One big blended family under the same roof. A vision of unity, love, and faith. But that dream never fit inside one home. In 2018, Kody and Robyn moved into their luxury Flagstaff home, the so-called McMansion. At 4,400 square feet, it was meant to be temporary, but it became their fortress. A fortress with walls too high for the other wives to climb. And now, even that fortress is crumbling. The new trailer begins with moving boxes and a silent Kody standing beside Robyn. She speaks, he doesn't. And in that silence, fans heard everything. When the trailer aired, fans noticed something chilling. Kody's silence wasn't just awkward, it was symbolic. He doesn't even talk anymore. She controls everything. He's not the same man. In one scene, Robyn answers questions meant for Kody. Plays the move, the house, even their emotions, while Kody stands, arms crossed, eyes down. The house wasn't big enough, she says. Big enough? For what? The kids, the memories, the truth? Because behind that excuse was a much bigger secret. Officially, the McMansion move was about space. But longtime viewers weren't buying it. This wasn't about square footage. It was about distance. From the past, from the wives, from the guilt. Box they packed wasn't just furniture. It was another piece of the family he left behind. And when Robyn took the lead, fans realized Kody had already left long before the move. The silent move became a metaphor. Kody had become a passenger in his own life. Then came the twist, buried deep in the trailer's second half. Nay, that line, that one sentence, changed everything. This house never felt like home. After years of defending Robyn's mansion, Kody now admitted what many suspected it wasn't happiness. It was isolation. The McMansion wasn't his sanctuary, it was his cage. But if the house was his cage, then who built it? Every major move since Las Vegas, every plot twist, had Robyn's fingerprints. And now, as they packed the last box, fans wondered, is Kody following her or hiding behind her? The internet erupted. Fans accused Kody of using the small house excuse to cover his emotional retreat. Some called it cowardice, others manipulation. He abandoned his family for Robyn. He's living in denial. She's running the show. For many viewers, especially women who once admired the Brown spiritual unity, the trailer felt like déjà vu. A man consumed by pride, guided by fear, and sheltered by the one person who won't challenge him. He used to lead a family, now he just follows a voice. And that silence? It wasn't peace, it was surrender. But one moment near the end of the trailer revealed something new. A small, nearly missed shot. Robyn tearing up, whispering, "I can't do this alone." For the first time, even Robyn looked afraid. The Browns once built their lives around shared faith, shared homes, shared dreams. Now all that remains are separate addresses and silent rooms. The McMansion wasn't too small. It was too empty. Fans may argue over who's to blame, Robyn's control, Kody's pride, or fate itself. But maybe the real tragedy isn't who left whom. It's how silence became their only language. If you believe every woman deserves the truth behind the headlines, let's deep dive in full details. Part 3. Once hailed as America's most famous plural family, the Browns sold unity and faith, on screen and off. But behind the TLC cameras, resentment brewed quietly. The cracks began when Robyn arrived in 2010. The wives shifted, the children watched. Kody's dream of one big family became 4 separate worlds orbiting his ego. By the Flagstaff years, everything changed. Christine left, Janelle followed, Meri was distant, and only Robyn remained, queen of the last castle, the McMansion. But while Robyn guarded the house, Maddie was preparing to guard the truth. In early 2025, Maddie Brush, Kody's second oldest daughter with Janelle, took to Instagram Live. Fans expected motherhood updates. Instead, they got a confession that shook the Sister Wives fandom. "I didn't cut you off, Dad," Maddie said softly. "You stopped calling. You lied about me on TV." That one line cut through years of silence. On Reddit, fans reposted the clip thousands of times. Facebook comment threads exploded with heartbreak and fury. "She's speaking for all the kids." Kody's manipulation is finally catching up. You can see the pain in her eyes. Maddie's statement wasn't planned. It was spontaneous. But behind it were years of ignored calls, public humiliation, and Kody's televised narrative that his children chose distance. She didn't choose distance. She chose dignity. And while Maddie found her voice online, Kody was losing his off-screen. Then came the trailer. Kody and Robyn, once untouchable, were leaving the McMansion. No family gathering, no goodbyes. Just Robyn explaining, and Kody quietly nodding. Robyn. It just wasn't big enough anymore. To fans, the phrase sounded absurd. How could a 400 square foot mansion not be big enough? Unless it wasn't space they lacked, it was connection. For years, Robyn's influence was subtle. A suggestion, a look, a shared glance. Now it was undeniable. She spoke. He stayed silent. He wouldn't even start a sentence without her approval. And that silence became the loudest signal Sister Wives fans had ever heard. The move, fans said, wasn't relocation, it was retreat. Kody was running from the wreckage of his plural life into the one home that still accepted him. Then came the twist no one saw coming. In the final frames of the trailer, Kody whispered, barely audible, "This house never felt like home." For years, fans watched him defend this house, its price, its symbolism, its isolation. And now, in one offhand comment, he admitted the truth. Even Robyn's sanctuary couldn't fill the emptiness he created. It wasn't about property. It was about punishment. Every move, every silence, every quote was part of a slow unraveling of control. And as Kody packed boxes, he was also packing decades of denial. Legal filings showed that by 2024, the family's business, LLC, Brown Family Entertainment, was inactive. Their Coyote Pass land remained unsold, half-developed, burdened by unpaid taxes and disputes. What began as a family dream in Utah had ended as a paper trail of separation and regret. When the trailer dropped, social media went nuclear. He abandoned everyone for Robyn. Maddie is the voice of reason. He looks empty, like he doesn't even believe himself anymore. Reddit threads read like therapy sessions for longtime viewers. Facebook groups compared notes between seasons, time-stamping emotional breakdowns. YouTube channels dissected every gesture, every glance. The verdict? Kody's silence was not humility, it was surrender. He wasn't the head of a family anymore. He was the echo of what he used to command. But amid the noise, one woman's message stood out, and it wasn't Robyn's. In a subtle podcast segment, Maddie reflected, "Forgiveness doesn't mean you go back. It just means you stop letting them rewrite your story." Those words hit home for millions of women. Daughters, wives, mothers. Anyone who's ever had to walk away from someone who refused to listen. Today, the Browns live separate lives scattered across states. The cameras still roll, but the family we knew is gone. Christine has remarried. Janelle is rebuilding. Meri has moved on. And Maddie, she's raising her children in peace. Kody's last stronghold, the McMansion, is no longer home. It stands as a monument to the cost of control. Maybe this was never about plural love. Maybe it was about learning when love becomes possession, and when silence becomes surrender. According to TLC family dynamics analyst Dr. Elaine Porter, what we're seeing isn't just distance, it's role inversion. Dr. Porter interview. When a patriarch loses authority but still clings to visibility, he often depends on one partner to mediate his identity. That's what we call emotional proxying, and that's exactly what Robyn became. Psychologists say this kind of dependency can look like loyalty, but it's really fear in disguise. Public records reveal that the Browns' Coyote Pass land, once marketed as the family's forever project, remains tied up in tax liens and joint ownership disputes. Fans on Reddit even traced deed filings, showing Robyn and Kody as the only active signatories by 2024. When love and paperwork mix, the outcome rarely favors the rest of the family. Years before Maddie's live confession, her mother saw it coming. The warning signs were there: the missed birthdays, the unanswered texts, the growing wall between father and daughter. Christine walked away in hope. Janelle walked away in frustration. Meri walked away in silence. Maddie didn't walk away, she spoke. He let the family fall apart. Robyn's tears are rehearsed. Maddie said what we've all wanted to scream. For longtime viewers, this wasn't just gossip, it was closure. In online support groups, women compared notes from divorced mothers to daughters of estranged fathers. My dad never apologized either. Maddie gave me courage to confront mine. For them, the Browns' unraveling wasn't tragedy, it was testimony. Next time we trace how Robyn's quiet influence reached beyond family walls into contracts, cameras, and control. Subscribe and stay with us as we uncover the unseen chapters of the sister wives' legacy. If you believe every woman deserves to tell her truth, hit like. If you've ever felt silenced, drop a love react in the comments. And subscribe. Because next week, we uncover how Robyn's next move might finally expose the last secret Kody tried to hide.